There was a day when a man shouted at me for no reason. I remember standing there, calm, quiet, and watching him. When he was done, I simply smiled and said, "Thank you for showing me how peaceful silence can be." He was stunned, and that's when I realized something powerful. No one can disturb your peace unless you hand them the key to it. Today, I want to share with you how to never get angry or bothered by anyone, not by what they say, not by what they do, and not even by what they think of you. Because once you master this, you stop reacting and start living. Understanding the root of anger. Anger doesn't come from others, it rises from within us. It is not their words that hurt us, it is our attachment to what we believe should have been said. When we understand that people behave according to their own experiences, not our expectations, we stop taking things personally. The power of emotional control. People think power means control over others. It doesn't. Real power is control over yourself. When you can stay calm while others lose their temper, you've already won the moment. Your calmness disarms the chaos around you. Building inner calm through perspective. Try this. The next time someone insults you, ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? Almost always the answer is no. When you rise above the moment, you see that anger is temporary, but peace is permanent. Perspective is what separates irritation from wisdom. Turning offense into opportunity. Every insult carries a hidden gift, a chance to strengthen your character. When someone mocks you, learn patience. When someone doubts you, learn faith. When someone leaves you, learn independence. Each difficult person is not your enemy, they're your teacher. Creating an unshakable mindset. To remain calm, you must train your mind daily. Start your morning in silence. Read something uplifting. Before reacting, breathe. Before judging, understand. And before getting angry, ask, is this worth losing my peace over? Over time, peace stops being a choice. It becomes your nature. Closing, inspiring end note. Remember this, the one who angers you conquers you, but the one who can smile in the face of provocation already lives in victory. So, don't let others control your mood. Be the calm in every storm, the silence in every noise, and the peace that no one can shake, because the world doesn't need more anger. It needs more people who have mastered themselves. And that person can be you. There's a simple truth about anger that most people never realize in their entire lives. No one has ever truly made you angry. Not your parents, not your boss, not your friends, not even the people who betrayed you. What makes us angry is not what they did, it's how we interpreted what they did. That is the real root of anger. Think about it. Two people can experience the same situation and respond completely differently. One might explode in rage, while the other simply smiles and walks away. The situation was identical, but their inner worlds were not. Anger, therefore, is not a reflection of what's happening outside of you. It's a mirror of what's happening inside. When someone says something hurtful, it stings not because of their words, but because those words found a place to land, a place of insecurity, pride, or unhealed pain within us. If those spaces didn't exist, their words would pass through us like air. Imagine throwing a stone into a calm lake. The ripples form not because of the stone, but because the water reacts. If the lake were frozen, the stone would simply bounce off. Our mind works the same way. When our emotions are frozen in self-control and clarity, nothing thrown at us can disturb our peace. The first step toward never getting angry or bothered by anyone is to accept that you are the source of your own emotions. It's easy to blame others. It feels comforting, even justifying, to say he made me angry or she ruined my mood. But the moment you do that, You hand over your emotional control to someone else. You become their puppet. Every time they pull a string, you react. Every time they frown, you fall. Is that really how you want to live? Letting others dictate how you feel? When you understand that anger is born within you, you begin to reclaim your power. You stop reacting and start responding. You realize that the only person responsible for your inner peace is you. Let me tell you something I've learned over the years. People will always be people. Some will misunderstand you. Some will talk behind your back. Some will challenge you, insult you, even betray you. But remember, their behavior is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their state of mind. You don't have to carry their chaos inside your calm. If someone throws dirt at you, you can choose to get dirty, or you can step aside and let it fall. Most of us, unfortunately, grab that dirt, smear it all over ourselves, and then complain about how filthy we feel. The truth is, we don't have to participate in every argument or every provocation that comes our way. Silence doesn't mean weakness. Sometimes silence is the loudest expression of strength. Every time you feel anger rising, pause and ask yourself, why am I angry? Usually you'll find it's not the situation itself, but your expectation of how things should have been. Someone disrespected you because you expected respect. Someone didn't value your effort because you expected appreciation. Anger is the gap between expectation and reality. The wider the gap, the deeper the frustration. Now here's the secret. You can't control how others behave, but you can control what you expect. The lesser you expect, the freer you become. When you stop expecting people to be perfect, you stop being disappointed when they act human. When you accept that everyone has flaws, you stop reacting to their mistakes. Think about nature. The sun doesn't get angry when clouds block its light. The ocean doesn't complain when waves crash against the shore. Everything simply flows in its natural rhythm. You too are a part of nature. You were not born to be angry. You were born to be at peace. Anger is learned. Peace is your original state. But peace doesn't mean being emotionless. It means understanding your emotions deeply enough to not be ruled by them. It's like standing in the middle of a storm and realizing that the storm is only around you, not within you. When you start observing your anger instead of identifying with it, you begin to see it dissolve. The next time someone says something offensive, try this, take a slow breath, and silently tell yourself, this anger is mine and I can let it go. It might sound simple, but that small awareness is the beginning of mastery. Remember, every moment of anger costs you peace, focus, and time. 3 things that never return. Ask yourself, is this moment worth losing my peace for? Is this person's opinion worth disturbing my mind? 99 times out of 100, it's not. And in that 1% when it is, responding with calmness will always be more effective than reacting with rage. When you understand the root of anger, you stop fighting people and start transforming yourself. You stop trying to fix the world and begin to refine your response to it. That's the moment when life changes. You become like a deep ocean. Waves may rise and fall on the surface, but deep within, everything remains still and peaceful. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, smile gently. Remember that they are only revealing their own inner turmoil, not your weakness. You don't need to join them in that chaos. Stand firm in your peace. Protect it as you would protect something precious, because it truly is. Peace isn't about avoiding people who bother you. It's about becoming the kind of person who cannot be bothered, no matter who stands before you. And that power, the power to stay calm while the world loses control, begins with understanding that anger doesn't live in others. It lives in you, and only you have the key to release it. Power is a word we often misunderstand. For most people, power means control. Control over others, over situations, over outcomes. But that's not real power. Real power is control over yourself. The ability to remain calm when the world around you burns with anger. The strength to hold your peace when someone tries to provoke you. The courage to choose silence over reaction and understanding over retaliation. That is the kind of power that no one can take away from you. When a person loses control of their emotions, they become easy to manipulate. Anyone can disturb their balance with just a few words. Think about it. If someone can make you angry just by speaking, they own a part of your mind. They control you without even trying. But when you have emotional control, you break that chain. You become free. No one can command your reactions because your emotions are no longer driven by others. There's a story I once heard of a wise man who was insulted by a young stranger in a crowded market. The crowd waited for him to respond, expecting anger or humiliation, but the wise man only smiled. When asked why he didn't react, he said, "If someone gives you a gift and you don't accept it, the gift still belongs to them." It's the same with anger. When people throw their negativity at you and you don't accept it, it remains with them, not with you. That is emotional control in its purest form. We often forget that emotions are meant to serve us, not rule us. When you are in control of your emotions, you can think clearly, make better decisions, and see people for who they really are, not through the cloud of temporary feelings. Anger, frustration, and irritation blind the mind. They make you say things you don't mean, do things you later regret, and hurt people you care about. Once the fire burns out, you are left with ashes, regret, guilt, and broken relationships. But when you master emotional control, you stop setting fires and start building understanding. Control doesn't mean suppression. Suppression is like putting a lid on boiling water. Sooner or later it spills over. True control means awareness. It means you see your anger rising, you acknowledge it, and you guide it before it guides you. Imagine you are driving a car downhill. The brakes don't stop the mountain, they stop you from falling. Similarly, emotional control doesn't stop the world from challenging you, it stops you from losing balance when it does. The real test of emotional control isn't in calm moments, it's in chaos. It's easy to be peaceful when life is going your way. The real challenge is to stay calm when someone disrespects you, when things don't go as planned, or when people misjudge your intentions. In those moments, your reaction defines your maturity. A calm person isn't emotionless. They've simply trained themselves to respond with wisdom, not impulse. It's interesting how people who shout the loudest often feel the weakest inside. Anger gives a temporary illusion of strength, raised voice, tense body, fast heartbeats, but it's actually a mask for insecurity or fear. True strength is silent. It doesn't need to prove anything. It doesn't need to dominate. Emotional control is quiet power. The kind that speaks through calm eyes, measured words, and steady presence. Think of great leaders, mentors, or elders who inspire respect. What makes them powerful isn't aggression, but composure. When storms come, people look to them because they don't panic. Their calmness brings clarity to others. That's what emotional control does. It doesn't just protect your peace, it influences others to find theirs. When you learn to control your emotions, you stop being a slave to your environment. You don't depend on good behavior from others to feel happy. You don't let rudeness, rejection, or failure shake your confidence. You become emotionally self-sufficient. You realize that peace is something you generate, not something you wait for. Developing emotional control takes practice. It's not built in a day, it's cultivated in moments. When someone cuts you off in traffic, that's a test. When your child spills milk on your shirt before work, that's another test. When a colleague takes credit for your idea, yet another. Each situation is a small training ground for your emotional muscles. The more you practice calmness in small annoyances, the easier it becomes to stay composed in major storms. Breathing helps. A deep breath before reacting can save you from 1,000 regrets. So does perspective. When you remind yourself that most conflicts are temporary, that most people act out of their own stress or ignorance, anger loses its grip on you. You start to see that people don't attack you, they project their pain. And when you recognize that, compassion replaces anger. One of the hardest lessons in life is realizing that not every battle deserves your energy. Sometimes walking away is not weakness, it's wisdom. It means you value your peace more than proving your point. It means you understand that arguing with someone who cannot see beyond their emotions only drags you down to the same level. The most powerful person in the room is not the one who speaks the loudest, but the one who stays centered while others lose balance. Over time, emotional control becomes a habit, almost like a shield. You stop reacting instantly, and instead you pause, observe, and choose your response. That pause, that tiny moment between what happens and what you do, is where all your power lives. That's where emotional control is born. When you master this, life feels lighter, people's opinions stop hurting, criticism becomes feedback, disrespect becomes noise, you stop being emotionally exhausted because you're no longer fighting battles that don't deserve you. And in that peace you find real strength, not the kind that intimidates, but the kind that inspires. So remember this, emotional control doesn't make you less human. It makes you more aware. It doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. And when you can stay calm in the face of chaos, patient in the face of provocation, and kind in the face of cruelty, you'll discover that nothing in the world can truly disturb you, because real power is not in controlling others, it's in mastering yourself. There comes a point in every person's life when they realize that peace is not found by changing the world, but by changing the way they look at it. The world will always have noise, criticism, and chaos. People will misunderstand you, challenge you, and sometimes even try to hurt you. You cannot stop that from happening, but you can choose how to see it, how to interpret it, and how to respond to it. That choice, your perspective, is what builds inner calm. Perspective is the lens through which we experience life. Two people can look at the same situation and see completely different things. One sees failure, the other sees a lesson. One sees an insult, the other sees an opportunity to practice patience. The difference isn't in the world, it's in the mind. When your perspective changes, everything changes. What once felt unbearable becomes manageable. What once seemed like a loss begins to look like a redirection. Most of our anger and frustration come not from what people do, but from how we interpret what they do. When someone ignores you, you might think they don't care, but maybe they're struggling with something you can't see. When someone criticizes you harshly, you might feel attacked, but maybe they're speaking from their own pain or insecurity. Perspective allows you to step back, to pause before reacting, and to see beyond the surface of people's behavior. Building inner calm begins with understanding that every person is fighting a silent battle. The rude shopkeeper, the impatient driver, the difficult colleague, they all have stories you know nothing about. When you begin to see life from this angle, judgment gives way to empathy. And empathy is one of the most powerful shields against anger. You stop taking things personally. You start seeing people not as enemies, but as humans doing their best with what they know. When your mind learns to see the bigger picture, small things stop shaking you. You realize that most of the things that bother you today won't matter in a year or even a month. Think about all the moments in your past when you were furious, anxious, or hurt. At that time, they felt huge, unbearable. But where are they now? They are gone, like dust in the wind. That's the power of perspective. It reminds you that life moves on and that every storm eventually passes. To build inner calm, practice rising above the moment. When someone says something cruel, don't react from the same level. Rise higher. Ask yourself, why should I let this person decide my peace? When something doesn't go your way, instead of saying, why me? Try saying, what is this teaching me? Every situation has two sides, the pain and the lesson. Perspective helps you see the lesson without drowning in the pain. Sometimes what feels like an obstacle is actually a hidden gift. Many of the strongest people you'll ever meet are not those who never struggled. They re the ones who struggled the most and learned to see their pain differently. They turned hurt into humility, loss into wisdom, rejection into redirection. When you see life that way, you stop being a victim of circumstances and start being a student of them. Imagine life as a movie. You are the main character, but not every scene will be perfect. Some will be dramatic, some painful, some confusing. If you walked out of the theater every time the story got difficult, you'd never see how beautifully it ends. The same applies to life. Inner calm is about sitting through the hard scenes with faith that the story is still unfolding, that every moment has a purpose even if you don't see it yet. Perspective also means learning to forgive, not because others always deserve it, but because you deserve peace. When you hold grudges, you carry emotional weight that only exhausts you. Forgiveness doesn't mean agreeing with what happened. It means choosing not to let it poison your peace. When you forgive, you free yourself from the grip of the past and create space for calmness in your heart. Building perspective requires self-awareness. You must learn to step outside your emotions and observe them without judgment. When you're angry, instead of saying, I am angry, try saying, anger is arising in me. That small shift separates you from the emotion. It reminds you that feelings come and go, but you remain constant. The sky is never disturbed by passing clouds, and your true self is never disturbed by temporary emotions. Gratitude also plays a major role in shaping perspective. When you focus on what's wrong, you feed restlessness. When you focus on what's right, you feed peace. Every morning, remind yourself of at least 3 things you are thankful for: your health, your family, your breath, your ability to try again. Gratitude turns ordinary days into blessings and problems into opportunities. It doesn't change the situation, it changes the way you see the situation, which in turn changes how you feel about it. Inner calm is not about avoiding conflict or living in isolation. It's about being in the middle of life, with all its noise and demands, and still being grounded. It's the quiet confidence that says, whatever happens, I'll handle it. It's the peace that comes when you realize you can't control everything around you, but you can always control what happens within you. Life will never be free of challenges, but your mind can be free of unnecessary suffering. You can choose to see problems as burdens or as stepping stones. You can see people as irritations or as teachers. You can see mistakes as failures or as experiences. The choice is always yours, and your peace depends on that choice. So, whenever you find yourself losing calm, take a deep breath and widen your view. Remind yourself that this moment is only a part of a much bigger picture. One day you'll look back and realize that even the moments that tested you were shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and calmer. That's what perspective does. It doesn't change the world around you, but it changes the world within you. And when the world within you is peaceful, the storms outside every person you meet in life will teach you something. Some will teach you love, kindness, and generosity. Others will teach you patience, restraint, and forgiveness. The difference is that one group teaches through comfort and the other through challenge. But both are teachers and both are equally valuable. When you start to see every insult, criticism, and offense as an opportunity to grow, you unlock one of life's greatest powers, the ability to remain unshaken, no matter what comes your way. Offense is like fire. If you touch it carelessly, it burns. But if you learn to use it, it gives you warmth and light. Most people live their entire lives reacting to others. Someone's harsh word ruins their day. Someone's judgment breaks their confidence. Someone's rejection kills their motivation. But those who rise above learn to transform these moments. They understand that every offense carries a hidden message. It shows you where you are still fragile, where you still need to strengthen your peace. Imagine a mirror that reveals not your face, but your emotions. Every time someone offends you, that mirror reflects something inside you, a wound, an insecurity, a fear. If you use that reflection wisely, you can heal. If someone mocks your ideas and it angers you, perhaps you still seek validation. If someone ignores you and it hurts, perhaps you're still attached to being noticed. The problem is not the person. The problem is the part of you that depends on their approval. Once you see this, offense becomes your guide. There was once a craftsman who made beautiful swords. Before each sword was complete, he would heat it in fire and hammer it repeatedly. A young apprentice asked, "Why do you punish the blade so harshly?" The craftsman smiled and said, "I don't punish it, I strengthen it. Fire reveals what is weak, only the strong part remains." That's what challenges and offenses do to your character. They reveal your weak spots so you can strengthen them. Turning offense into opportunity begins with awareness. When someone's words sting, instead of immediately reacting, pause and ask yourself, why does this bother me so much? That question changes everything. It moves your focus from blaming others to understanding yourself. You begin to see the offense not as an attack, but as a chance to practice emotional maturity. The moment you start using challenges to train your inner peace, you become unstoppable. One of the greatest signs of strength is not how much you can fight back, but how much you can stay centered when others lose balance. When someone disrespects you, you can either join their chaos or rise above it. The choice is yours. And the higher you rise, the less noise reaches you. People often mistake silence for weakness, but silence is power under control. When you don't react, you keep your energy, your dignity, and your focus intact. You turn offense into a lesson, not a scar. Criticism is another form of offense that many fear. But if you look closely, criticism is often a disguised compliment. It means you're visible enough to be noticed. It means you're doing something that matters. If you take every negative word as an opportunity to refine yourself, you grow faster than those who defend themselves endlessly. A wise person doesn't argue with every critic. They listen, take what's useful, and leave the rest behind. You can't stop people from judging you, but you can stop their judgment from defining you. It's also important to understand that people often offend from their own pain. A bitter person speaks bitterly because that's all they have inside. A jealous person criticizes because they cannot celebrate what they don't have. When you learn to see this truth, offense stops hurting and starts awakening compassion. You begin to think, this person is struggling with something I may not understand. Compassion protects your peace better than anger ever could. Turning offense into opportunity also means using difficult people as your spiritual gym. Just as weights strengthen muscles, difficult people strengthen your patience, tolerance, and humility. Without resistance, there is no growth. If everyone praised you, you'd never learn resilience. If everyone agreed with you, you'd never learn perspective. So be grateful even for those who test you. They unknowingly polish your character. The more you practice this mindset, the less reactive you become. You'll notice the things which once made you furious now barely touch you. That's growth. That's maturity. It's like developing emotional armor, not hard and cold, but strong and understanding. Offense still comes, but it passes through you instead of staying within you. There's another lesson hidden in offense. It teaches you what truly matters. When you get offended, pause and ask, will this matter in a year? If the answer is no, let it go immediately. Most of the time, the things that upset us are temporary. A passing comment, a misunderstanding, a careless word. Why sacrifice your peace for something that won't even matter tomorrow? The energy you spend on offense could be spent on progress. Every time you choose peace over reaction, you invest in your future self. Remember, the goal is not to become emotionless. The goal is to feel emotions deeply but respond wisely. You can acknowledge that something hurt you without letting it control you. You can experience disappointment without becoming bitter. Emotional mastery doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop letting feelings dictate your peace. Eventually, you'll reach a point where offense becomes your teacher rather than your enemy. When someone tries to provoke you, you'll smile and think, here's another chance to practice peace. When life throws challenges at you, you'll say, here's another test to strengthen my patience. That mindset transforms every negative experience into a stepping stone toward wisdom. The truth is, people will always have opinions. They'll speak, they'll judge, they'll misunderstand. You can't control that, but you can control what happens inside you. You can choose to be reactive and hurt or reflective and strong. Every offense gives you a choice to go down into conflict or rise up into calm. The higher choice is always peace. So the next time someone offends you, don't ask, why are they doing this to me? Instead, ask, what is this moment trying to teach me? Maybe it's teaching you patience, humility, or self-control. Maybe it's simply reminding you that no one can shake your peace unless you allow them to. Whatever the lesson, take it. Because in the end, every offense you overcome adds another layer of strength to your soul. When you start living this way, you stop being bothered by people. Their words lose their power. Their opinions lose their weight. You become calm, steady, and centered, like a mountain surrounded by changing weather. The wind may blow, but the mountain remains unmoved. That is the reward of turning offense into opportunity, unshakable peace in a world full of noise. There comes a time when you realize that peace is not something you find. It is something you build within yourself. The world outside will never be perfectly calm, and people will never behave exactly as you want them to. If you wait for the world to become peaceful before you find your peace, you'll wait forever. That's why the greatest goal in life is not to control everything around you, but to create an unshakable mindset, one that remains steady no matter what storms rage outside. An unshakable mindset is not born overnight. It is built slowly through small choices, quiet reflections, and moments of self-awareness. It begins with a decision, the decision that your peace is your priority. Once you make that decision, you begin to see life differently. Every challenge becomes a lesson. Every mistake becomes a message. Every failure becomes a stepping stone toward wisdom. The foundation of an unshakable mind is self-mastery. You can't control what others say or do, but you can control how you think, how you feel, and how you respond. The world may test you with anger, disappointment, or betrayal, but if your inner world is grounded, nothing can pull you down for long. You might bend, but you won't break. You might fall for a moment, but you'll rise stronger than before. That's the quiet power of inner strength. To build such a mindset, you must train your mind the way a warrior trains for battle, not against others, but against your own weaknesses. Each day offers small opportunities to practice. When someone cuts you off in traffic, that's a moment to practice patience. When your plans fail, that's a moment to practice acceptance. When someone disrespects you, That's a moment to practice emotional control. Every situation that tries to shake you is actually helping you strengthen your calm. The key is awareness. You must learn to observe your thoughts instead of becoming them. When you feel irritation rising, notice it. When anger appears, watch it without judgment. This act of observation separates you from the emotion and gives you power over it. You realize that you are not your anger, not your stress, not your fears. You are the awareness behind them. Once you truly understand this, nothing can control you anymore. An unshakable mindset also comes from discipline. The discipline to protect your peace the way you'd protect something precious. Start your mornings with silence before the noise of the world enters your mind. Spend time with your thoughts, read something uplifting, or simply breathe deeply. The first few minutes of your day set the tone for everything that follows. When you begin the day grounded, you carry that calmness into every interaction. Gratitude is another powerful tool. It's easy to be peaceful when life gives you what you want, but real calmness comes when you can be grateful even when it doesn't. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present. When you focus on what's wrong, your mind becomes restless. When you focus on what's right, your mind becomes steady. A thankful heart is hard to disturb because it's already full. You must also learn to let go. Let go of the need to be right all the time. Let go of the urge to prove yourself to others. Let go of grudges that keep your heart heavy. Holding on to negativity is like carrying stones in your pocket. The farther you go, the heavier it feels. Letting go is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's understanding that peace matters more than pride. When you release what you can't control, you make space for what truly matters. An unshakable mindset doesn't mean you stop caring or feeling. It means you learn to care deeply without losing yourself. You can love people, but you don't let their moods dictate yours. You can chase dreams, but you don't let setbacks destroy your confidence. You can face pain, but you don't let it harden your heart. Strength is not the absence of emotion. It's the ability to feel without falling apart. Life will test you again and again. There will be moments when everything seems uncertain, when people disappoint you, when plans fall apart. In those moments, remember this: storms don't last forever, but the lessons they bring can. If you stay calm during the storm, you'll see that it passes sooner than you thought. But if you panic, you only make it worse. Calmness gives you clarity, and clarity gives you strength. The people who truly succeed in life are not those who never face problems, but those who remain steady when problems arise. They don't waste energy on things they can't control. They don't let others dictate their emotions. They move through life like a river, steady, adaptable, and unstoppable. No matter what obstacles appear, the river keeps flowing. That's what your mindset should be like: calm, continuous, and clear in direction. One powerful practice is to remind yourself daily, nothing and no one can disturb my peace without my permission. Say it until you believe it, because it's true. People can provoke, situations can test you, but your reaction is always your choice. When you stop reacting to every small disturbance, your energy multiplies. You start focusing on what truly deserves your attention instead of wasting energy on things that don't. Another part of an unshakable mindset is trust. Trust in life's timing and in your own strength. Not everything will happen the way you want it to, but that doesn't mean it's not happening the way it should. Sometimes what looks like a delay is protection. Sometimes rejection is redirection. When you trust that life is guiding you even through uncertainty, peace becomes your constant companion. In the end, an unshakable mindset is about choosing peace over panic, growth over reaction, and understanding over judgment. It's about walking through life with quiet confidence, knowing that no matter what happens, you will remain grounded, because you've built your peace from within, and nothing outside can take that away. So protect your mind as you would protect your home. Don't let negativity move in. Don't let anger decorate its walls. Don't let fear lock its doors. Fill it with gratitude, understanding, and calm. Because once your mind becomes unshakable, your life becomes unstoppable. When the storms of life come, and they will, stand tall like a mountain. The winds may roar, the rain may fall, but the mountain does not bow. It knows its strength lies not in avoiding the storm, but in standing firm through it. Be that mountain, be that calm, be that strength, because once your mindset is unshakable, nothing in this world can truly